Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Corey, better known as the Seaman. This little guy is the child, better known as Grogu. And we want to welcome you to another edition of the Seaman's Cinema Sitdown. I got my festive Grogu wear on. I just love that I can call him Grogu. It makes me so happy that he has a name finally. And if you see me rocking the festive Grogu wear and you see Grogu himself chilling here, you know what we're getting ready to do, so let's just not waste any more time. Why don't you pull up a chair, take a seat. We are getting ready to dive in, spoiler free, into the Mandalorian Chapter 14, The Tragedy. And this week's tough, at least on the non-spoiler side, because can't really say very much about anything that happens in this episode. I got bailed out last week with the appearance of Ahsoka, and the fact that we knew Dave Filoni was directing meant it was more than likely that she was going to show up, and when she did show up, it was something that we were all expecting, so to mention it in the non-spoiler review helped me out a lot. This week, can't really say very much about the episode, other than it was freaking awesome once again. And for those of you that have not been able to fully get on board with like the setup of the way this show works structure wise, you know how like we're on our mission, right? Our journey. We got to go from point A to point B, and Mando's got to take Grogu and get him back to the Jedi. And on our journey, we pop off on all these little side missions. And I know there's a decent contingent of people that sometimes are like, what's with these side missions? Can we stop having these side missions? Well, Chapter 14 is the episode that's going to show you why those episodes are so important. And I've been saying it from day one. Dave Filoni knows how to do this stuff. He structured Clone Wars and Rebels very similarly, where we kind of be on a mission and you get these little side missions and all these little pockets of stories that are going on in the overarching story in Star Wars. And then slowly yet surely, as you go deeper into the series, those things that felt like one-offs start to tie back in. And that's exactly what Jon Favreau is doing here. He is starting to finally weave some of those one-off side missions into our main story in a way we can go, oh, that's why that episode was there. Or, oh, that's why that episode was there. And as a fan, this episode got me super excited because of that stuff. Because finally, people who haven't quite grasped the way Filoni kind of tells a story, you're finally seeing now with what him and Favreau are doing in Chapter 14. And the other thing that I can definitely say about this episode is Pedro Pascal's freaking awesome, man. I love this guy. And continually, the work between his VO and whoever is in the suit, whether it's him, whether Brendan Wayne, or any of the other stunt doubles that they utilize, the syncing up of the voice work with the actual physical body acting, specifically when it's not Pedro in the suit. It's hard to know when it's not Pedro in the suit, but when he's not in, the sync up in the VO and just the body language is so good. And we get a moment at the beginning of the episode where those two things syncing up are like spot on. Like the physical reaction that Mando gives us in that moment is perfect for the way in which Pedro Pascal says it. It's so perfect. Like I honestly think maybe Pedro was in the suit this week. I don't know, but it was one of those moments where you just go, damn, man, like Pedro Pascal is such a freaking good actor. With like just 2 lines of VO work, you can literally go, wow, that was awesome. And we get like, cool moments like that throughout the whole episode. And huge props to Mr. Robert Rodriguez, who joins the Mandalorian Directors Club. And as someone who's a big Robert Rodriguez fan, I was psyched. Now, the one thing that's kind of a negative is, once again, we're back to about 30 minutes of content. Which, when you're in an episode that's as good as this, and you're getting all the things that you're getting in this one, I wanted 10 more minutes. Like, I just wanted 10 more minutes of action. And to nobody's shock, Robert Rodriguez shoots action really, really well. And he actually shoots Star Wars action really, really well. I loved the action in this episode. And like I said, it's the reason I kind of wish it was a little bit longer, because I could have watched some things for at least another 2 or 3 minutes. Like, you could have, like, doubled up, what's, like, who was being fought with, and just kept sending people and gave me, like, 5 more minutes of the stuff we were getting. Robert Rodriguez shoots some phenomenal action. And the action in which he is asked to shoot, the things that are going on, let's just say we see something that made me beam like a child on Christmas morning, man. Like, it was just one of those moments where, like, you see something and you're like, someone's been waiting. And the execution of that was so cool. And like I said, I really just like what Favreau did story-wise here. Like, the way he's starting to weave in all of these one-off episodes now into our main story. And, where the main story is going after this week, I cannot wait for the last 2 weeks of this freaking show, man, because it is going to be just a sheer roller coaster ride to the finish, I think. Like, the slow, steady pace suddenly quickened a lot in the last 2 weeks. And the other thing I love that Robert Rodriguez does with this episode and with what Favreau writes is building, like, suspense and tension and getting you to go from, like, here to edge of your seat, like, oh no, like, he keeps you on the edge of your seat and keeps the suspense and the pace, man. It is like an unrelenting, like, oh damn kind of quickness to certainly the back part of the episode, where all that action is going down. And it was fun to watch because you felt the urgency of everything that's going on. Like, you can feel the urgency of things that are happening with the characters. You can feel the urgency of the show in general finally starting to go, all right, you guys have been waiting for us to ramp it up. We are going to ramp it up, and we are going to ramp it up fast. And I think we, like I said, are in for a roller coaster ride finish to the end of season 2 of The Mandalorian. And I dug this episode a lot, man. This episode made me feel things. Let's say that. And like I said, Robert Rodriguez really meshed quite well, just like all the directors that Favreau has brought in for this. And it was fun to see someone else get to play in the Star Wars world that in the movie world we're certainly familiar with. And now we can be familiar with them in the Star Wars world. And I would certainly love to see Robert Rodriguez do more stuff, whether it's with The Mandalorian, one of the spin-offs, Star Wars movies, when we get back to going into the theater with stuff for Star Wars. He would certainly be a wonderful directing resource to utilize for anything Star Wars related, because he certainly showed he knows what the hell he is doing. So for me, this week, Chapter 14, The Tragedy, excellent episode. And it certainly gets you stoked for the last 2. And also kind of gives you the feeling that, like, we're not going to pull any more punches. We're not slowing down going to the finish. Like, I thought we might kind of slow down a little bit after last week, and we're just keeping that pace up, man. And this bad boy is moving like a full-on locomotive at its max speed, man. And it's exciting to kind of feel like, after watching 14 chapters of The Mandalorian, the last few weeks, it's finally starting to feel like, oh yeah, okay, we're finally getting into the stuff we've all been waiting for. So I'm just in love with this show. I'm super pumped for where we're going. And those are all my non-spoiler thoughts. Like I said, really can't say very much about what happens in this episode other than it is cool to watch the things that happen on screen, and the storyline and the things that happen in this episode just have major implications to where we have come from and where we are going with The Mandalorian. So those are all my thoughts. I think Baby Grogu would tell you he enjoyed this episode. Give him a little thumbs up, my man. So you know how we feel. Now I want to know what you're thinking, man. What'd you think of Chapter 14 of The Mandalorian? Remember, spoiler-free. Don't spoil anything. There's certainly heavy spoilers in this episode. But what'd you think, man? Was it a fun episode? Did you feel the urgency to the things that were happening? Did you like the performances? Anything that you saw going on? Like, everyone who shows up this week, bringing their A game. So anything you're thinking, good, bad, or indifferent about The Mandalorian Chapter 14, the tragedy, down below in the comments section. Look forward to talking to you down there. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you're new, you want to come hang out with the Seaman, anytime we talking Mando, we only got 2 eps left in Season 2. You want to be here for all the Mandalorian goods, and you haven't yet, and you like what you see, come give the Seaman a little support. Come join Seamaniac Nation by jumping over there, hitting that subscribe button, hit that little bell if you want those alerts the minute my Mandalorian stuff comes up. We got the spoiler later on today, so if you want to be here for all that, I suggest doing those things. And until next time, for the Seaman's Cinema Sit Down, this has been my buddy Grogu. Of course, am the Seaman, and I am signing off. Peace! Well, that's all live and breathe. You still here? Check out a video like this one, or this one, and hit the subscribe button so you can get alerts and check out everything the Seaman's got at the Cinema Sit Down.